Okay, so here is a little review for a matrix test. That is a matrix. It's a 2 by 2. Why does it matter that you know that? Because if you were going to multiply it by something else, like for instance 1, 3, you'd have to go, can I multiply that or not? Well, this is a 2 by 1, and then these match, and so the answer would be a 2 by 1. Okay, now, before we actually multiply these, I'd like you to just find the determinant of this. DET of that. So the way I would do that is I'd type it in the calculator, if I was allowed to use the calculator. And you might be thinking, but wait, if you're going to tell us we can't use the calculator, that's because, well, what if I change this 1 right here to a T? Then you couldn't use the calculator, right? So I got to make sure you know how to do it by hand. All right, so if you do it by hand, it's really that simple as 2 times 5 minus 3 times 1. And that's 10 minus 3, which is 7. Raise your hand if you had 7. Awesome. Now, if I was going to ask you to find the inverse, you're already done with one of the hardest parts of this. If I were going to find the inverse of this matrix, if this is going to be called matrix A, then the inverse would be a to the negative 1, which again, if you could use a calculator, it'd be really easy and simple. But I'm saying no calculator. So I'm going to remind you to find the inverse. I'm not going to use an equals because it's not equal to it. It changes into the inverse by doing 1 over the determinant. And then do you remember what happens to these 4 numbers? I had a snappy little way of remembering it. These 4 numbers do something. They kind of shuffle around a little bit. Remember that? How many of you were thinking in your head, flip-flop, up? Ah, it's stuck. Yay. So this flip-flops to 5 and 2 this way instead of the other way around. And this is opposite and opposite. And then it's the determinant was 7. We just figured that out. So that's it. And it would be 1/7 times the 5 makes 5/7. 1/7 times the negative 1 would make negative 1/7. And negative 3/7 and 2/7. There we go. Those are actually pretty complicated answers, and yet you did it in your head. How many of you feel confident that you could do that on the test? Okay, good. So that's 2 topics, determinant and inverse. All right. Now, how about just this white question here? As it's written, 3 times that matrix plus that other matrix. I would not use a calculator. I would totally do this in my head because it's way faster. There's a couple of people with headphones in still. If you'd take those out at this time, that'd be great. Thank you. Oh my gosh, one of those was just an earring. All right. That's good news. I was like, that kid usually doesn't wear headphones. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. 3 times the 1 was what I'm doing in case you got lost there. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 4 makes 7 again. 3 times 3 is 9 plus negative 2 makes 7 again. And 3 times 5 is 15 plus 0 is 15. 7, 7, 7, 15. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Okay, awesome. So that's adding, and subtracting would have been exactly the same and just minus instead of plus in the middle. Okay, so we're good on those, I think. What about multiply? Notice I put a K in here. I put a K in here because I want to make sure you can do it without a calculator. So, would you agree this is a 2 by 2 matrix? And the other one, underneath it, write what it is, and then it'll tell you whether it works and what the answer will look like. So Cameron, what is that 4, -2 matrix?
It's 2 by 1.
So does it work?
Yeah.
And if it does work, then the outside ones tell you it's a 2 by 1, and we already know what that looks like. It looks like that. So cool. I have two little Easter eggs there, and they're going to hold my answers. Lindemann, this one right here is row 1 and what? Column 1. So then I use row 1 and column 1. Oops. And here's row 1 and here's column 1. And then what do you put there?
4K plus
The 4 and the 2 get multiplied. Look closer. The 4 times 2? Unless maybe you did some kind of a combining like terms. How about this? To start this one, do you agree that we go 2 times 4? Ah, okay. So you just maybe did more than that. So 8 is the beginning of my answer. And then what's this part?
-2 times K.
I would have said 8 minus 2k. Now, if you wanted to factor that, I suppose you could factor out a 2, but I don't think that's necessary. All right. Arlo, can you tell me the other part? This is not row 1, column 1.
Yeah, row 1, column 2.
No.
Or row 2, column 1.
There we go. Okay. So we use row 2 and column 1. And so what'd you get?
You had 4 times 5,
Correct?
which is 20.
Yep.
And then 1 times -2, which is -2. So you have 20 minus 2, which is 18.
Perfect. So 8 minus 2k on top, 18 on the bottom. Do you get the calculator could not have done that one because there was a k in it. Okay, awesome. Next question. These two are identical, so they can multiply by each other. True or false? That is false. People think sometimes if they look the same, they should be able to multiply. Nope. That and that have to match. They don't match, it just doesn't multiply. There's no solution. All right, here's another thing that has no solution. Something whose determinant is blank. Talk to the kid next to you. If the determinant is blank, then something doesn't work. If the determinant is 0, then what doesn't work? Talk to the kid next to you. So if you've got a determinant of 0, that's the only number that is special, because your formula for inverse has 1 over the determinant in it. And then I like to do this for flip-flop and this for op-op. And if that determinant's 0, you got a problem. Okay. All right. So the only thing we haven't done yet is the biggest, most important problems, which are where you get a word problem. Then you change it into equations. And just to save us time so that you can have a bunch of work done today, I'm not going to give you a whole word problem, but I'm going to give you the equations. And let's see if you can just take a set of equations. I'm going to start with a nice straightforward one. 2x plus 5y equals 12. And x minus 10y equals negative 19. If you can make that into matrices and then tell me what to do at the end, like b to the negative 1 times a to the negative 1. That's not right at all, but tell me what to do to the matrices you make. You don't even need to type it in the calculator. We'll save that time. Just make the matrices, give them names, and tell me what to do to them. I'll pause for a second while you do that. Okay, here's what I'm hoping you got. I'm hoping you knew this was a 2 and a 5 and a 1 and a negative 10. Even though there wasn't a 1, you'd know that there'd be a 1 right there. And then we need the xy. And then you need the 12 negative 19. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Awesome. And if this is A and this is B, then to get this A off of here, you're going to do the inverse of A, but you're going to do it to both sides. And my next question for you is, when you multiply this and this, write what you get. You might say they cancel. Yeah, because they make this certain matrix. What matrix do they make? Don't say it, write it. I think there's two kinds of kids. Ones who totally know what I'm talking about and just wrote it right down, and others that are like, what are you talking about? Would you please talk to the kid next to you about what these two make? Yep, the ones go diagonally down the middle from upper left to lower right. Cool. That's called the identity matrix. All right. And that there's still an XY here. But this is just like one XY, which means it's pretty much just XY. So now we need the answer, which will be this. I'd like you to actually take your calculator and do this one and see if you get a final answer. If the numbers are clean and nice, don't judge by that on the test. But I will tell you, for this problem, you will not get fractions. You will get nice, clean, simple, whole numbers. Actually, there's a negative, I think. So I can't say whole numbers. Did you know that? If a number is negative, it's not a whole. So then if you want to include negatives, you got to say integer. All right. So you type in this as the A matrix and this as the B matrix. And then you have to do exactly this. Inverse A times B with the calculator. You probably use this key to get the inverse. I have a few kids that are saying to the power of that key. Don't do that. It will not work. You just press that key and it automatically pops on the -1 that I'm going to make green here. It pops that on to your A matrix. All right, and then you got two numbers, I think. So B, what did you get at the end? Yes. Like 3, 1? 1, 2. Raise your hand if you had 1, 2. Awesome, look at that. Yay. Okay, so you figured out we solved the system, and X is 1 and Y is 2. All right. That covers pretty much everything, and we have a lot of time left. And you have a review, which is like a practice test, and this will give you a chance to ask me questions if you are like stuck on a certain kind. So today in class, make sure you come up and ask me lots of good questions. Overall, as long as you show your work, some kids are going to get nipped for not showing any work because they're like, oh, well, I did it on the calculator. You got to show me what you did on the calculator. Write out as much as you can. And then I know you're going to use the calculator. As long as you show your work, I bet I see a lot of straight A's on this next test. All right, so the worksheet is all, and you do have tons of time. And then tomorrow after the test, I won't give you any new homework. So that's all I got for you for today.